What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports, our show about the intersection between sports and money. He's Jeremy Pink, Duke MBA. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor, merely a BA from Ohio State.
I have a BA from Ohio State.
Yeah,
So,
you trumped that with the Duke stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But, before we get started, we always like to say, please rate, subscribe, review, 5 stars only. Otherwise, we consider you a traitor. That being said, normally we start a show with a number I've got, but you tell me you've got a number this week.
I've got a
for me.
number. I've got a number. It's $1.4 billion.
What you've left me in your will. I appreciate it, homie.
Oh, that's the will when we're both living in fantasy land. Yeah. So $1.4 billion dollars.
Okay, can I get a hint? A lifeline?
Um,
What is
it's a sport that has global. It's an event that has global appeal.
Oh, is this something about the World Cup?
It is not.
Or is it about the hockey whatever hockey tournament that's
So
taking 3 weeks out of the season?
So you may or may not be aware that Friday night is the start of the Winter Olympics.
Well, let me tell you something. I once covered the Winter Olympics.
Did you?
Oh, it was an amazing time.
Where did you cover them?
I spent 3 glorious weeks in Vancouver.
That was a beautiful city. Yeah.
Covering the 2010 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. I did some of my worst work ever the first 3 or 4 days of the Olympics. And then I was doing a story on Bodie Miller, the downhill skier.
Sure.
And it finally clicked on how to cover the Olympics. Because you're covering downhill skiing, alpine skiing, half pipe. You're doing all this weird stuff that nobody in Dallas, where it don't snow, has any idea
Right.
about, except maybe figure skating.
Right.
And it finally dawned on me, and I don't know why it dawned on me, but it just, something clicked. And it's like, dude, it's not about the sport. It ain't even about the result. It's all about the people. It's
Right.
all about the competitors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about Bodie Miller's war against himself, not to be a 7-letter cuss word, and figure out how to get out of his own way
Yeah.
and have success. And whatever, it clicked on that story, and I wrote the hell out of that story. And my boss hit me up. He's like, wow, that's the best piece you've written since you've been there. I was like, okay, I got it. And when I tell you I slayed it the rest of the time I was there, I freaking slayed it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's either the 70s or the 80s, I can't remember, when ABC had the rights to the Olympics,
All right.
they changed how they covered it, and they covered the Olympics by introducing, it was either a segment or a narrative or a theme called Up Close and Personal. And the goal was exactly the same thing, which was to personalize the Olympics, because that they felt that was the way that's the storytelling. And that was sort of the birth of the storytelling on TV. The $1.4 billion is the approximate rights fees that NBC and Peacock are paying for the Olympics.
That's amazing. Do you pay that for the Olympics or for the Winter Olympics?
That's for the Winter Olympics.
I can't believe you pay that much for a sport. I mean, how many sports do people in America care about in the Winter Olympics?
It occupies it. It helps.
It's just, I forgot, you're a former programmer. It's programming.
Yeah. It's
you don't
live.
even have to think about it. Just put it on.
It's live programming. It feeds Peacock. It drives subscribers to Peacock. It is going to be, any live programming is going to do very well in prime time, for a prime time audience, able to sell a lot of advertising around it in prime time.
I guess what you're telling me, it's worth the 1.4 billion.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the Comcast and NBC says it'll be profitable, and they're going to spend, if these numbers are right, which is 1.4 billion on the rights fees, and probably another 300 million estimated on the actual production of it. So 1.7 billion, I think they'll recoup that. Now, they'll also be able to use it as a platform to promote other things that NBC and Peacock have because it aggregates a large outside the NFL. It's going to aggregate one of the
I
larger audiences
forgot.
of
We
the
got
year.
this TV show coming up, and they'll be
Right, right.
promoting that
Yeah,
that you've never heard of and
but
all that.
but
Okay, you talking?
yeah, no, and it's not just because I used to work at NBC, but I think NBC, particularly the last couple of Olympics, has done a phenomenal job, just absolutely phenomenal. I thought the Summer Olympics were done extremely well, so I'm really looking forward to it, to Winter Olympics.
You know what, man? I really, in part because it's the Winter Olympics, I had forgotten that they were starting. I knew they were sometime soon, but I hadn't paid any attention to when. So, see, I learned something today, so I can get ready for it. I'm always interested in the hockey. I had a great time covering the hockey in 2010, and the figure skating and Sean White on the half pipe. All that stuff was cool, man.
That's
The
it's good.
weird part about it is, and this is funny you mentioned this. I was literally telling a friend about this the other day because he's going to the Super Bowl and he's talking about you got to ride a bus, you got to go downtown, and then you got to take a bus to San Jose where one
Hmm,
team
hmm,
is,
hmm.
or to wherever the other team is, and it's like an hour bus ride. I said, bro, when I was covering the Olympics, all those skiing events were in Whistler, and Whistler is in the mountains. And so I was telling him this. I said, dude, you had to walk a mile to the bus. You had to leave your hotel, walk a mile to the bus stop, take a bus to downtown Vancouver, which is about 20 minutes,
Hmm.
then get off the bus, walk about half a mile, maybe three quarters of a mile to the convention, to the hub of where all the activity was. Then check this out, bro. Then you had to catch a bus to Whistler
Hmm.
for a 3 hour bus
Oh
ride
my goodness. That
into the mountains.
right,
And so you spend and then once you get there, you got to do what? You got to walk like a mile
right.
to figure out where you're supposed to go.
Uh-huh.
And dude, so you spend all day working, covering these events. And then guess what you got to do? You got to take that 3 hour
Right.
bus
You got to go
ride
back.
back,
Yeah.
back to the hub, walk another mile to the bus where the bus let you off, take the 20-minute bus ride, then walk a mile back to the hotel.
Hmm.
Dude, and you had to do it like, I probably did that like a week, every day for a week,
Yeah, you
because
got in good.
all those events were up there.
Well, you got into Olympic shape then, you got in good shape.
Bro, no,
Yeah.
you're right. You know the other thing about this? That is where I learned to like sushi
No,
because some people were
in
going
the
out.
mountains of Vancouver, that's pretty common where
Because the
people
people were
usually
going
where,
out,
yeah.
man, and they were like, "We're going to have sushi," and I was like, "I don't like sushi." They all said, "You haven't had sushi right out of the water, so whatever you had doesn't count."
Oh, right, because Vancouver, yeah, yeah, the food scene in Vancouver is
Yeah,
incredible. The Pink Women just went there for a few days last year, so
dude,
the food
dude.
scene there is incredible. Yeah,
For a split second, I was like, "Pink women? What the hell is he talking about?"
yeah. I've got
This
two women in the
woman.
house, my wife and my daughter, the Pink Women. Yeah,
It took me just a minute to
yeah,
process that.
yeah.
Well, see, this is what happens on the show. They give you a number. I give it to Jeremy. He gives me one,
Right.
and you have no idea the road that number will take you down.
There's 1.4 billion roads it could go along, but
Wow,
I'm still it is still such an astronomical amount of money, and I have to say NBC does a phenomenal job, and I think it's going to be a very uh, well received and well watched couple of weeks.
what are you looking forward to seeing? Anybody, any sport, any event?
Yeah, look, I think the interesting thing this year is going to be the hockey because Russia's
Are
not
they
in the
back?
Olymp yeah, they're not back this year. So it's good. There's really only two teams that look like they're going to be any good at hockey,
U.S.
and
and
that's
Canada.
US and Canada. And we all know how well the US and Canada are getting along this year. So
Little chip,
I think it's going to be great, you know?
dude. Again, back in 2010, they played a phenomenal game. I think it was 3-2 for the gold medal game. Canada won on Sidney Crosby scored
Hmm,
like in the final
hmm,
minutes.
hmm,
But the coolest part was Brendan Morrow for the Dallas Stars was on the Canadian team, and I had a good relationship with him from covering hockey.
hmm.
And so he's walking through the zone. I go, Brendan, and he stops and he comes back, and I ended up getting him for talking about the game and all this other stuff. But it was Great experience. I'm looking forward to watching Aaron Jackson, the African American speed skater, do her thing.
Oh, I don't even know who that is. Oh,
Well,
that's good.
I
Yeah.
didn't see this. Is what you're talking about? I didn't either until about a week ago.
Okay. Well, you said it so confidently, like you've been following her and that this was a big thing. Yeah. Okay. I've never
Uh,
heard of her. Yeah.
now, see, this is also the thing that happens with numbers. We go into the show and say, "Hey, we're only going to spend a couple minutes on numbers, and then we're
Right.
going to get into it." And it's a winding road that takes us many places. And so, speaking of money, you had a good idea to talk about the 10 highest paid players in Sunday's Super Bowl between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. It is Super Bowl 60. Um, that's kind of crazy, man. That's
I know.
wild.
I know.
Uh, I've been around for all of them, I think. Um,
Nah. Have you? You know how I always know what Super Bowl it is, and I will date myself is that I'm the exact same age as a Super Bowl. So, yeah. So I'm unfortunately I'm LX this year. Uh,
yeah.
but it happens to all of us. Yeah.
No, no, for real. And so we decided to look at the guys who made the most money this year. So it's
Just the
not that,
pure cash comp this
yeah,
year. Yeah.
how much cash they got this year.
Yeah. So
Like
what
I
do
only
you
work for cash these days.
um,
So how much cash I earned this year? Cash.
yeah, yeah. We were just talking about only working for cash just a few minutes ago. Uh, so
And
I'll tell you, what did you see? What stuck out from you about this list? Because I'll read the top five, which is
um,
Sam Darnold at 27 and a half, Stephon Diggs at 22 and a half, the receiver for the Patriots. Milton Williams, the defensive tackle for New England's at 21. Leonard Williams, defensive tackle for the Seahawks is at 16-6. And Michael Onwenu, who is offensive line for New England. Those are your top five. But anyway, what sort of struck and he was at 16 million.
here's really what I thought about it when I looked at the list. I thought Sam Donald at 27 million is the guy who's made the most this year. And it's fitting that he will have the biggest role in this game. And I also thought it was interesting that he made three times more than Drake May, who's number 9 on this list at 9 million, 9.9 million, basically 10 million. And so the quarterbacks will have a profound effect on this game. I just left my granddaughter's birthday party. She's celebrating birthday number 20. And her mom was there and her mom's boyfriend was there. And he was asking me who I thought was going to win the game. I said, the problem with this game and why I wouldn't bet on it, I'm not a better, but if I were, I wouldn't bet on the line, which I think is like 4.5. I said, because none of these players have ever played in a game this magnitude,
Mm-hmm.
and you have no idea. You literally have no idea because they got no track record whether they'll come and they'll be consumed by the moment and fall apart, or whether they'll embrace the moment and thrive. And so I would just, and Sam Donald, it wouldn't surprise me if he threw for 300 yards, and it wouldn't surprise me if he threw for 190 yards and 3 interceptions. With Drake May, the dirty little secret is Drake May has made enough plays to help them win, but he ain't been putting up no numbers. I mean, he struggled in every game.
Mm-hmm.
He's done much more with his feet than he's done with
Mm-hmm.
his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle's defense, the way they played this year, you would think they would be able to control him. So, but what's really stood out to me is the disparity between the money and the quarterbacks, and how, at the end of the day, one of those two guys is probably going to be the MVP at the end of the day.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's become a quarterback award, the MVP over the last I think the last 5 or 6 seasons. So what struck me is that there's nobody who's making a huge sum of money. There isn't this 40, $50 million player in there. The highest paid player is Darnold at 27.5 million, which for quarterbacks puts him squarely in the middle.
Yeah,
Drake.
he got one of those deals that says we think you're a solid starter, but you're not
Mhm.
special.
That's right. That's right. And Drake May is at 10 million, but that's because he's on his rookie deal or 9.9 million, whatever he is. He's on his rookie deal. What I also noticed was I think as a result that 6 of the 10 highest paid players in this game are from the Patriots, not from the Seahawks. And I think that's a function of the fact that you've got $18 million more room, for paying your quarterback. Yeah. And so, but what really struck me is that outside of Sam Darnold and Drake May, people might know who Stephon Diggs is.
Bro,
Maybe not for the right reasons, but they might
bro,
know who Stephon Diggs is.
you know what I was just about to say? I was just about to say, don't judge me. But the funniest thing about this list is I only know about four people on here.
Right.
Okay, I am familiar with. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Okay, I don't like to lie. I will, but I don't like to. And this is not a situation where I need to.
Right.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm familiar with Sam Darnold.
Hmm.
I'm familiar with Stephon Diggs. I'm familiar with Leonard Williams. I'm familiar with Harold Landry. I'm familiar with Drake May, and I'm familiar with Devin Witherspoon.
That's good.
That's 6 out of 10. Now the issue is, remember, I cover the Cowboys. I live in Dallas. I'm an NFC guy. So while I follow the league, I know the stars. I don't know the inner workings of these teams.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then with New England
Well,
being
since
an,
but since you cover the Cowboys, you're also not used to covering the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
you know what,
So,
that was completely and totally unnecessary. Not from a man who lives in the shadows of New York with the Jets and the Giants.
yeah,
You
I'm
can't
about five.
you
Yeah,
can't take
yeah,
shots.
that's true. I'm like a 15-minute drive from Giant Stadium. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
you can't take
Yeah,
shots.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, man, I was like, dude, Seattle's really an anonymous team because they're on the West Coast, they're at the
Uh-huh.
tip. They're not a star power based team really.
Yeah.
And they kind of came out of nowhere, so it's not like you've been following them for 2 or 3 years. Like I know a lot of Eagles because why? The Eagles have been good. You know a lot of Kansas City Chiefs because why?
Yeah.
They've been good, so you
Hmm.
see them regularly. But the Patriots were 3-14 or something like that last year, so there was no need to know who they were. And Seattle just came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and so that's why you'll get some critics talking about it's a boring game and a boring matchup and who cares. But that's really because you don't know a lot about these teams. And so that can actually make for a very interesting
Yeah.
game
I actually think
because it's new blood.
I think the viewership's going to be higher this year than it was last year. I think
Okay.
there's going to be a little bit more interest. I think there was a level of Kansas City Chiefs fatigue,
Okay,
uh,
I buy that.
and I think that I think there are pretty interesting stories as an NFL fan. I think I thought it's been an excellent playoffs this year. I think it's been widely followed. You see some of the other viewership of the games where you thought maybe, viewership of this year was a little bit higher than last year, even in the playoffs.
Right.
I think it's kind of it feels I don't believe this, but it could feel like a changing of the guard. I think this is going to be a 1 year pause, and it's going to kind of go back to the top quarterbacks next year again. But I think this is kind of this 1 year anomaly when just to give an analogy that nobody will care about. It's like when Leighton Hewitt won a couple of major tournaments in tennis before Roger Federer and then Nadal came about. There was like a lull between Pete Sampras and Roger Federer, and Leighton Hewitt was
Right,
able
right,
to
right.
win a couple of majors. That's what this kind of feels like to me. Uh, but I'm still struck by essentially what you said is exactly what I'm struck by, which is that it is there aren't that many stars playing this game.
No.
You've got, I mean, I think people might know, I think football people will know Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Um, I'm not sure
Well,
a lot of, casual fans will know them.
now, here's a trivia question for you.
Hmm.
My son played high school football, and my son's a junior at Ohio State with a key member of one of these teams. It would be Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle for Seattle.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Yeah, he
yeah.
he played it. He played at DeSoto High.
Played at DeSoto High School,
Uh-huh.
and my son was. Let me see. Byron was, I think, a year ahead of him.
Hmm.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just
So
for those of you who don't know, DeSoto is a power. a high school football power in Dallas,
Yeah,
and it's a big feeder to major college programs and ultimately NFL.
they got about right. Von Miller played at DeSoto High
Hmm.
School. That's a name people know. They probably got about I think they've had 8 or 9 guys in the NFL, 10 guys in the
Hmm.
NFL.
Hmm.
Murphy is the latest. The two linemen on that team, his junior year, were Byron Jones. Now I'm an old man moment on the other guy. But
Hmm.
Byron Jones went first round to Seattle, and the other guy went third round to the Bears. Uh,
Which three?
Shamar Moore went
Oh,
third
right,
round to the Bears
right.
a year later.
That's
Obviously we're interested in that because he's a kid we know,
yeah.
and that's always kind of cool.
Well, what's really, you know, if you look at the way uh, the collective bargaining agreement is done and salaries and everything, the salary cap and everything, this this is either the new winning formula, which is pay somebody kind of middle of the road money, or if it's not a new formula, if you get on a quarterback on a rookie contract, or you get sort of a mid-level starter paying like Darnold, you'll have a lot better players around you. So this is either something that's going to continue to persist, that this is going to be sort of the winning formula, or it may not matter. It might have been one of these years where Mahomes was never right. Burrow was injured.
It feels
Uh,
like an anomaly.
it feels like that to me
Uh,
too.
but the other thing is, you know, Sam Donald. I think the point is because Sam Donald is not going to be making this for too much longer. If they win, he's probably going to soon be in the $50 million club. And if they lose, he's probably going to be in the $45 million club because he and his agent are going to say, okay, we've had back-to-back 14-win
Right.
seasons. We went to the Super Bowl. We've done it with two different teams. Now, it doesn't matter whether you think it's a fluke or not. He's going to say the fact that we did it 2 years in a row is not a fluke. We played for your number, and we're appreciative of the opportunity. But now it's time for you to pay us our number because we've taken your team to the Super Bowl for the first time in a decade. And then Drake May, I don't have any doubt, next year will be year 4 for him. Whenever it's time for him to get his
No,
extension,
next year will be year three.
okay. So at the end
Yeah.
of next year, he'll be getting his $50 million
They,
extension.
usually at the end of year four, right? Not necessarily.
No,
I guess for his level, I guess for
because
the
it'll be an extension.
yeah,
And
there'll
so,
definitely be an extension. Yeah.
but you'll try to, if you think he's the guy, unlike the Dallas Cowboys who operate ass backwards,
Hmm.
you want to sign him as soon as possible
Hmm.
to a 5-year extension. If he'll take that, he may only want 4, so
Hmm.
he can get back to the table that much faster, which is a smart thing to do.
Right.
But whatever it is, he'll get his extension so that you have time enough to absorb it over 4 years at a much number. Because with good quarterbacks, again, the Dallas Cowboys work ass backwards. With good quarterbacks, I've written this and said this for decades now, and this is not breaking news, bro. The price never goes down.
That's
It,
right.
it never it never goes down.
That's right.
It's like I mean, it's
Well,
like whatever.
but
It's like
this
a
but
Benoit.
then yeah,
It never
but then
goes down.
this goes back to the current formula then, which is get a Drake May, get a Caleb Williams, get a Jaden Daniels, get them on their rookie contracts, build around them, and try to win. It really started happening with Russell Wilson probably 10, 12 years ago, whenever they won.
The other part of that equation is it just can't be the quarterback. You have to draft well everywhere so that you can really take advantage of it.
Yeah.
If you just draft a quarterback, but you got to pay because your other draft picks suck, so you got to dip into free agency, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, but speak.
Seattle did this because they've drafted so well over the last two
Hmm.
years. They got
Hmm.
like 10 starters making minimum. And so it's the perfect formula for them.
Well, but you look at I think Minnesota. If you look at Minnesota's GM just got fired, right? Even after he signed an extension a year ago. He got fired because he didn't sign Darnold this year, I think. And they're looking to see what happened to Darnold. So he got a bunch of good players around. The Vikings roster is very good, but it doesn't matter. The quarterback is absolutely the critical piece to
He
get in
messed
place.
up. Somebody in that building messed up the quarterback situation. I think he's taking a big hit for it. And a lot of people were surprised he got fired. And initially I was. And then when I thought about it, I went back to my formula, and we shouldn't have been surprised. And here's why. Again, this is a very unscientific formula. Whenever you have a season that's been labeled a disappointment, okay, and you can say the Viking season was labeled a disappointment after what they did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, one of four things happens. The quarterback, the head coach gets fired, the offense coordinator gets fired, the defense coordinator gets fired, the quarterback gets moved. In this situation with the Vikings, the head coach is the OC, and you think he's good. So he's good. He's safe. The defensive coordinator is the best in the game. So he's not. So your offensive, your head, and so now you look at your quarterback, and you go, well, he's the first round pick, and he's in his second year. We don't really want to. I mean, he didn't play his first year, so he's in his third year, but he's really on
Yeah.
that one. We don't think he's that good, but I don't know if we're ready to walk away from him yet. And so the traditional four, they're going to stay the same. And so now you have the rare situation where you go, okay, how come, what happened to, and so he became the scapegoat because the other guys didn't fit into the scapegoat
Let
thing.
me ask you this question because I have an answer to this and you'll understand it when I ask the question. If Darnold threw three interceptions and the Rams won last week, would he still have his job?
Oh yeah.
Okay, right. So this is purely a Sam
Hey man,
Darnold. This is
we,
a
we
Sam Darnold issue. Somebody in the building said we're going to go
somebody,
with,
the owner, you don't have to say somebody is the owner.
yeah,
He's like, we had this guy, and he's, you know what he's telling people, we should be in the Super Bowl.
of course, that's my point.
That's
And
what he's telling people.
right, and that's my point. But I think it's a question of who in the building said we're going with McCarthy over Darnold. Was it O'Connell? Was it what's his name? Quasi? I can't remember his name. Was it
I
Darnold or
think
was
the
it
I think the public story I believe is O'Connell wanted them to re-sign Darnold, and the GM said, and you can imagine him saying this. What are you talking about, dude? He sucked in the playoffs, and we just got a first round pick. We
mm-hmm.
drafted. He's Sam Darnold. Let's not forget, Sam Darnold's with his fourth team in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the GM is saying, like, dude, he's on his third team. We're getting rid of him. He's going to be on his fourth team in 4 years. He's a talented guy, but look what happened to him with nut cutting time. He gave it up. We can't trust this guy. Let's see what the young guy's got. He's had a year to sit while his knee's been messed up.
Mm-hmm.
We spent a first round pick on him. Hey, coach him up, Pink. Coach him up. And
Right.
didn't work. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now,
I think if Sam Darnold was not in the Super Bowl, that guy would still have his job because I think you're right. Scapegoat is probably the right word. They're not going to fire O'Connell. They are not going to get rid of JJ McCarthy yet. Although I think they may sign a free agent this year, but I don't know. But they have
they'll
to
sign
sign.
somebody.
Yeah,
It's no different, really, than what Buffalo did with Sean McDermott.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah,
It's no different. It's an
right,
emotional, and you can tell because Buffalo fired him, and then we're like, oh, who we gonna hire?
right,
Like,
right,
wow, hey, and they couldn't figure out who to hire, so they just go, Joe Brady. Yeah,
right.
yeah, you be the guy.
Yeah, you didn't think they
And
were going to try.
well,
You didn't think they were going to try to steal Brian Schottenheimer from the Cowboys? No.
no. I mean, I think Shotty's got something to him, but no.
I actually think I think the team. I don't think they have a defense, but I think that if they can shore up the defense, I think he's got something. I agree with you. I think he was much better than I thought he was going to be this year.
Yeah, I don't know what he's got, but he's got something.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
still that's still to be determined.
Right.
Bottom line for me, Sam Darnold or Drake May, one of them is going to be the MVP, and one of them is going to be the GOAT. It's not going to be very much of an in between. And my money is for Sam Darnold to somehow be both.
That's good. Bottom line for me is the players. There isn't a high price, really super high price player this year. I think this is some anomalous transitional year for the NFL, and I think we'll see a reversion next year to some of the big superstar quarterbacks making it back into the game.
Let's talk about some more money. This is money spent on streaming, and I find this interesting
It's money spent
because
on
I
rights.
rights
Yes.
for streaming. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Sports streamer, the amount of money that streamers are spending on sports rights. Yeah.
and I find this all very interesting because I'm not the only one spending. Well, you're probably not because you've always figured out how to beat the system. But I'm spending a
Never.
lot of money on streaming sports. Like I got the NFL Sunday ticket because I'm that guy. I want to watch whatever
Hmm.
game I
Hmm.
want to watch.
Hmm.
I'm a seven-letter cuss word about it. Um, I've got the Amazon package. I cheat. I get the Peacock trial run whenever they're on Peacock
Hmm.
if I have to.
Right.
I got a couple local subscriptions for local like the Texas
Mhm.
Rangers and the Dallas Stars. So I spend a lot of money on streaming, and I've just kind of accepted it. But dude, let me be honest with y'all. Again, honesty. The money I spend on streaming does not compare to what Disney or any of these other people spend on streaming. I spend maybe $1,000. They spend billions.
Yeah, it's remarkable. There was an analytical group called Ampere Analytics came out with a report this week on what the streaming services are spending on sports rights globally, and they estimate that over the next few years that Amazon will be the streaming service that spends the most on sports rights globally. And what we did is we took a look to see who's spending money on sports rights in the United States, just including the TV networks as well as the streaming services. And won't bore you with all the numbers, but what's remarkable is that Amazon this year will spend the third most money on sports rights behind Disney, which is ESPN and ABC, and Comcast, which is NBC and Peacock. Amazon is third already here in the United States. So I think what it does is it just shows you that the trend for sports rights and the trend for sports viewing is going to the streaming services. And if that, as that happens, and that happens and it's not going to happen overnight because there's long-term contracts for a lot of these sports rights. But as it shifts more and more to the streaming services, you're going to see a inverse relationship with the number of subscribers on these cable and satellite platforms. And
What does that mean?
this is a big, it means that more and more people are going to pull cable because the reason a lot of people are subscribing to cable now is because it's the most convenient way to get all the sports services together. And so
Right.
YouTube TV this year, which is Google's essentially, uh,
Right.
equivalent of it's an online equivalent of a cable or traditional cable or satellite channel, is going to offer a sports package this year that you can just subscribe to sports.
That's really all I want.
Right,
Like
right.
I was looking at my Google. I had this conversation with myself the other day because YouTube TV costs about $90 a month. And I was sitting here going, okay, football season's over, Taylor. What is it that you care about? I don't really care enough about basketball to be watching it. I mean, watching random teams play.
Hmm.
And I was like, I might just need to pause my account until, the NFL draft in
Hmm.
April because
Hmm.
I'm not, if it's not live sports, I'm literally not watching it.
Right, right.
And
And
so
that's,
I'm the perfect candidate for a bundle.
yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen. I'm still kind of stunned at the pace at which this has happened, considering the long-term rights that are negotiated by the leagues. I mean, looking at this list, you know, of the top nine, you've got Netflix is Apple's number nine, Netflix is eight, YouTube TV is number six because of the Sunday ticket package.
Right?
And then you've got Amazon, and you've got 4 or 5 of the top 9 are streaming services. And I just think the acceleration to those services is pretty amazing.
No, it's only going to, all these things just go with rapid pace once they start, man, because everybody sees it, everybody jumps on board, everybody converts over, and we live in an a la carte world where I'm like, and I'm the king of that. I want what I want when I want it,
Hmm.
and I really only want what I want. I don't want all this other extra stuff. I just
Right,
want what I want,
right.
and nothing makes me happier as a sports fan to be able to watch whatever I want to watch when I want to watch it. And the like
But
all
it's
these
hard.
league pass,
But it's hard to do that right now.
I think it's really hard, and this is an NBA problem, not so much as the NFL because well, they only play a few days a week.
Hmm.
But the NBA, you try to figure out where the games are every night.
No idea. Yeah.
And if you're a fan of one team and you're trying to figure out, or if you're a fan of the league and you just like to watch the best players, good luck trying to figure out where they're playing on a given night because who can tell?
It's yeah, because the rights have been so splintered and they're across, traditional
Like I
broadcast
really don't
TV.
know
Yeah.
outside of ESPN, where else is the NBA?
NBA is on Amazon. NBA is on Peacock. NBA is on NBC.
Oh, see, look at you breaking news.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I knew they were on Amazon because Dirk Nowitzki is on Amazon. He's one of their studio hosts. But I have
Right.
here's the thing, and maybe this is marketing, man. I know the NFL plays Thursday night on Amazon. I have zero idea when the NBA is on Amazon. Zero.
Right. Right. And I
Zero.
think most people don't know. I don't, but it's a very different, it's a very different animal because the NFL is such a national sport, and baseball is a very regional sport, a very regional local sport. Football is a very national sport, and the NBA is kind of
In between.
somewhere in the middle. I mean, the Saga and the Stars are national. Outside of the Saga and the Stars, it's very, very local.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
way to put it.
so I think that that's what you're experiencing as a viewer. But I can tell you that Apple had MLB, and I subscribe to the local Yankees channel. I watch the
Right?
Yankees here, and I had trouble finding them this past couple of seasons because they were often on Apple, or they were often on, whatever
Yeah.
I think TBS or TNT. I don't know who, I can't recall who had it, or on Fox. And because the Yankees are so popular, I started thinking to myself, I'm subscribing to the Yes Network, which provides the Yankees games here, and I'm thinking, I wonder how many of those games are actually not on Yes anymore. And I would, and so what are you actually paying for at the end?
Right?
Yeah. And so I think, but anyway, the long and short of it is that the consumer, the consumer is going to have to figure all of this out. And it's going to
Yeah.
start to cost
I
more and
mean,
more money. And there's going to be some sort of breaking point, or there's going to be I think we should watch closely what YouTube TV does when it offers a sports package, because that may be the solution for most major sports fans. If you could just get in one bundle, YouTube TV gives you ABC, CBS, NBC, the networks, sports, ESPN, SEC network, Big Ten network, uh, NBA network, all of that. And then you might have to subscribe to a couple of streaming services for different types of, some different packages. I think that's going to be a huge success for them. So I'm just waiting. They're supposed to come out with that in the first quarter this year. And I
well, the
think
key is always
that's
how much that thing's gonna cost.
yeah, so you pay what, probably 85 dollars a month or something like that for
Right.
YouTube TV. I'm guessing the sports package will be about 50 to 60,
Oh,
So
I'm in on that, baby.
right, right. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be an enormous success, but it could do big damage to a lot of the entertainment networks that right now are on life support because people are subscribing to these platforms just for sports.
Bottom line for me, I'm gonna spend whatever it takes. You are too. So, let's just get something that appeals to us and go.
Bottom line for me, keep your eye out for what YouTube TV does this first quarter of this year when they offer their sports only bundle. I think it's going to be a revolutionary change in the way consumers view sports in the United States.
And what would a show, the bottom line on sports, be without a little bit of Ohio State conversation at the end of the day? Four Buckeyes playing in the Super Bowl. Can you name it? Actually, that's a trick question. Three Buckeyes, one coach in the Super Bowl. Can you
Okay,
name them?
well, you got to have JSN Jackson Smith and Jigma
Right?
is in there. If it's a coach, it's Vrabel played at Ohio State. I know that Mike Vrabel, the
Yes.
coach of the Patriots. Uh, One player who I think could have an enormous impact in this game, and I think is a dark horse MVP candidate. I'll tell you why in a
Whoa.
second. Is Travion Henderson, and
All righty then.
I don't know who the fourth person is.
Thayer Mumford, offensive lineman, offensive
It's
tackle.
he's not from Mumford and Sons. It's a different Mumford. Yeah, yeah.
I saw some on Travion Henderson because he hadn't played as much in the playoffs. And one of those football nerds said one of the reasons why he hadn't played much in the playoffs is uh, he's been missing holes, meaning they blocked it and he should have gotten 20 yards and he got three, or they blocked he should have got 15 yards and he got two, because he's just off a little bit. And obviously in the playoff, we ain't got time for you to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to hit it going.
Yeah,
But he got huge big play potential. Um, he's played in big games. He's played well in big games. And so, I like him. I think you're right. He's got some it factor to him. And if they can give him some opportunities early, he might be able to find a little rhythm and do a little something.
I think he's their only home run hitter. I guess they're Butte, maybe their receiver, but he's really their only home run hitter. And he, he could get like he did against Texas last, in the college football playoff, where he, took that screen pass and went, what was it, 85 yards to score, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
I think a huge matchup. And we'll see what it says this week. Will Christian Gonzalez, probably the best cornerback in the NFL, will he shadow Jackson Smith and Jigba? And if so, what a compelling matchup that's going to be.
Mm.
Because JSN is also a guy who, if the Seahawks win, I have no doubt he'll get votes to be MVP if they win, because
Mm-hmm.
that means to me he will have had
Okay.
6 for 115 and a touchdown.
All right. So if name three players who you think outside of Darnold and May who could win the MVP. Because I would say, for me, I would say Trevion Henderson.
Right,
I think Jackson Smith and Jigba.
right. That's a
And
Stephon Diggs.
I say Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I like those. I like those because Stephon Diggs, if he has a big day, he'll get in the end zone once or twice, and we'll see.
Yeah. There's no way.
He
There's
had
no
four
way.
kids
I'm
from
sorry.
four
I'm sorry.
women.
Let me just
What?
say, there's no way the writers are, if it's between Stefan Diggs and Drake May, there is no way the writers are voting for Diggs in over Drake.
No, I was
Yeah.
going to say anybody who's
Yeah.
had four kids by four different women.
Yeah. There's no way.
I'm
Just
not really interested in him winning. Yes, I'm being very judgmental right now. I'm not interested in him winning the MVP,
yeah.
but he's a great player. So,
He is a great
and I don't
player.
say
Yeah.
great lightly, but he's a great player. But there's also a reason why he's been on four teams in
Mhm.
8 years as a great player.
Yeah,
No doubt about that.
So I think you're right. I think the JSN Christian Gonzalez, and I'm assuming they'll have Gonzalez shadow him. It's going to be a great matchup, which kind of opens the door for. You think Cooper Kupp's going to do anything in this game?
He hasn't done anything lately. He's capable, but he
Yeah,
hasn't done anything lately, I
he
don't think.
did well against the Rams. He had four or
All right.
five catches and a touchdown against the Rams.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, then he can do
I,
something. He's
yeah,
capable.
I think the two players to watch in this game are Trevion Henderson and Kenneth Walker. I really do.
No,
I got
Kenneth Walker's been playing good. So,
yeah, and
yeah.
I don't know about Ramondre. He just he does not look. He has not looked good at the end of the year to me. He just hasn't.
Bottom line for me, I like Seattle. They got more Buckeyes. Or do they? No, I think they don't. But anyway, I like Seattle in a close one. I think it'd be a great game. I like Seattle. I think something like 26-21.
Yeah, I like Seattle too. And I think it won't be particularly close. I think Seattle by at
Really?
least I think it's Seattle by at least 10.
I could even see a little lower scoring game.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to guess a score, it would be, 24 to 14, something like that.
All right, all right. Are you having a Super Bowl party?
Watching it alone in my, in my house. How about you?
No, I'm a Scrooge like you. I too will probably watch it alone. I
Yeah.
don't like to watch. I've gone to a couple Super Bowl parties and I don't like them because you can't watch the game.
I,
Um,
I
the best. Go ahead.
no, I feel the exact same way. I just stopped. I'd much rather watch the game by myself.
The best Super Bowl party I went to was my former boss's party when I was at ESPN Dallas, and he had a big enough house, and he was a sports nut. Like he's one of those guys who he moved, and in his new house, because I think he's up in Bristol working at ESPN, he had a golf simulator put in his basement. So
Right.
he's
Right.
that kind of
He's
sports
one of
fan.
those guys. Yeah.
So when you walked in their house for the Super Bowl party and it was packed, he or his wife would say, "Hey, great you came out. If you're a serious watcher of the game, go upstairs, and that's where all the serious watchers are, and there's no bull. And if you just want to have fun and talk and yap all during the game, down here is where you belong."
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? That's perfect. And
I
so
like
upstairs, man, there's like 12 people intently watching a game like this. And
Yeah, that's good.
downstairs, there was 50 people,
Right. Who are
milling
sort of
around, doing
sort of
whatever they do.
casual. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what it reminds me of is that I'm not a big fan of I don't really listen to much music at all. I mean, I'm just not a music guy in any way. But the few concerts or musicals that I've been to in my life, I can't stand going to those either. And you know why? For the exact same reason. I go there and say, okay, here's an artist who I kind of have heard of and can kind of listen to. And then he or she or the band starts singing or whatever. And then the people around you start singing and I can't hear the band. It's the same thing. I can't go to a concert for that reason, or go to a musical. But some of these musicals, people start singing, and I don't want to listen to you sing. I don't even want to talk to you, and I have to listen to them sing for the whole concert. So I have the same kind of opinion because, as you know, I've been socially distancing for 60 years, right? And I have the same kind of feeling at Super Bowl parties. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to watch what's happening here. Anyway,
So
I thought you'd
that's
get
the
a kick
basis
out of
of our entire
that.
friendship. We only put up with each other,
Right.
and then we laugh about it. Go
Right.
figure.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out. Hey, now let me have to remind you again to subscribe, rate, review. 5 stars only. Otherwise, we think you're traitors. So for Jeremy Pink, Jean-Jacques Taylor, this has been the Bottom Line on Sports. Keep an eye on your money and your sports.
All right. Well, talk to you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl and enjoy the Winter Olympics opening of that as well.